Hey, beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. I guess you can call it a podcast. And we are here to talk about Married at First Sight, just the ones that I want to talk about, not that boring couple. And they open, I'll have the season and episode title and everything in the description. But we start off with, of course, everyone waking up, and Gail turns on the light. She's like, turn the light off. There's just no waking up happy with Mirla. And you guys, you cannot tell me that Jose and his girl, or his bride, sorry, his wife, they haven't done anything, because all that kissing, that's just a whole lot of kissing. So yeah, that's the way we start off. All right, so then we have Zach standing on the balcony saying how, he feels bad that he caught COVID and he really wanted to have the actual honeymoon with Michaela. He feels like he let her down. Then we cut to Michaela back in Houston, and I'm like, no way. The same way I said it before in the review, no way. Leave me out of town as well. I'm not going back to Houston. I know Married at First Sight has the budget to get her own room. Why did she have to go back home and miss the whole entire vacation? The same way Gail was able to go downstairs and meet with all the other couples without Crybaby, I feel like she should have been able to join the couples and do whatever, even if she wanted to just go have margaritas on the beach by her damn self. Let her go. But why you send her back to Houston? She's better than me. So anyway, they showed them texting. She's in a better place because he told her that, they're going to make up for lost time. And I'm like, he needed a bedroom. Y'all, they did it. They did it, period. He said he missed her. I'm not going to clown them this time for only knowing each other or being around each other for 2 days and missing each other. Because by now, maybe they do, miss each other a little bit and a little anxious about seeing, how the other person is and getting started with this whole thing. So I'm not going to give them shit for missing each other right now. So just can't wait to see what's going on with them. Let's get going. All right, so then we get to Mirla and Gil, and she's telling him that he talks in his sleep, and he's like, what am I saying? She's like, yeah, I don't know. You're probably cussing me out or whatever, saying what you won't say for real in your sleep. And he's like, yeah, sounds about right. Then they get on the whole last name thing. She says that she loves her last name. She doesn't want to change her last name. And I'm just like, dude, run. Seriously. She's just, run. And he's telling her what she could do, which is basically keep both of them. She says no, she's not that she says she's not that aspect of a Mexican. And she's like, it's just too long. What will people call me? And I'm thinking, bitch, because I just don't like her. You guys, I just can't with her. All she does is complain. They should call you Complain Jane, because I am over her and I am over all this complaining. So Gil says when he got married, he was thinking that compromise would be a little bit easier. But of course, we know that she doesn't like to compromise on anything. It's her way or the highway. And again, she says this whole thing about she doesn't want to change her last name in remembrance of her father. I get it. And then he says, oh my God, you put me in a tough position because, of course, I don't want to be the bad guy. Your dad is aware of how things work, and he knows that with you being a girl, you're not going to carry the last name forever. I'm sure he knew that eventually your last name would change. I'm not trying to be, insensitive about her whole situation with her dad and trying to do it in remembrance. It just, girl, it makes no sense. Even if he's saying it's fine that you hyphenate or whatever, you don't even want to do that. Yeah, she's just not about him. And I am just not about her. But I do wonder why he's being so patient with her. You guys, like, he's really putting up with a lot of shit from her. And although he's giving like little jabs or whatever here and there, kind of in the confessionals, not really to her, I don't know why he's really putting up with it and not just coming out saying, girl, you're getting on my nerves. Like, either be more receptive to this whole situation, which I don't even know why she got into it in the first place. It's a lot of people here that I don't understand why they got into it, because they don't seem like they're really into it, or they're the type of person who wants to be doing this. So yeah, I've long-winded about them and my opinion of them, so I'll move on. So now we have Val and Johnny, and they wake up having coffee, talking about the snoring again. You guys, it's a whole lot of talking in this show. I mean, I know they got to get to know each other, but god damn it, can we move on to some different conversations? It's always about the same thing. Come on. So we're talking about the snoring again, and she says that, people called it cute, and she's been bullied about it. She doesn't think it's cute. He made light of it. He didn't think it was that serious, and he said, yeah, I just kind of didn't feel like it was that serious. And unfortunately, that's something that people do, you guys. One person can take it oh so serious, and it could just be everything to them. And if it's not that serious to the other person, and not even just talking about snoring, just anything, they will just kind of laugh it off or just kind of discount it, and that's not cool. It's hard to say don't do that because, again, if you don't understand the severity of it, you're not going to give it the same kind of energy the person who is being affected really does. So anyway, it wasn't a huge deal to him. She let him know that it's a huge deal to her. This fool comes back with, oh, yeah, that was a red flag for me because you made a big deal out of some simple shit. He didn't say that, but basically that's kind of what he said. So in the confessional, he says just that. He says, if we were just dating, this is a red flag, and it would have put me right back on the dating apps, which is what I said in the last video, that he is a red flag himself. I swear to God, he reminds me of one of my exes who was a level 10 narcissist. He wanted people to chase him. He wanted people to cater to him and just really, really want him. And he will show the minimum, like he'll show you, in return, but you have to do it first. And any little thing bothered him. Also, he was the type that would put you in a spot where he would complain about little shit, and it will put you on edge where you would be like, okay, I don't want to talk about this, because then he's going to feel some kind of way about it. Like he was just oversensitive about every goddamn thing, and you don't know what you can and cannot say. So this man is putting her on guard to me. He's making her, have to think about any and everything she says to him, because she doesn't know if the next thing he's going to say is, oh my God, I could really leave you for this. You know what? Not feeling Johnny. Not feeling Johnny. So she starts telling him how before she would get intimate right away with people. And he had a smile on his face like, dang, like I missed out on that time. And now I guess she just wants to do things differently. So he asked her, why do you think it was that you were so quick to move before? And she says, well, because, sexual chemistry and all that stuff is easy. It's the other stuff that's the hard part. So she wants to do it right. So good for her. She does reassure him, which you got to do a lot of reassuring for this guy, but she gives it to him. She tells him that, listen, I think you are attractive. I'm sexually attracted to you, yada, yada. She tells him she had a crush on him for a long time. He says, you never told me. And she said, because she was a coward. I'm like, girl, you weren't a coward. You were a girl. You were a lady. You were waiting on him to be the man. And he, like the little broad he is, says, yeah, if you would have told me, then I would have made a move too. And I'm like, what a little girl. Johnny, like John, whatever his name, I really wanted to like him. I really did, because I thought he was cool. At the wedding, the way he danced, everything, he was cool, but he's not cool. When you listen to him speak and know the personality type, John's not cool. Jose and Rachel, they're about to be the boring couple in a minute. I'm about to leave them out in a second because I can't with Rachel. And she wakes up with a pen and pad and wanting to have this serious conversation. I can't with this girl. So she's asking him, about what they could do before kids, that sort of thing. She says that she wants to go to Switzerland. This fool says, yeah, it's a lot of money. And before he said it, I knew it was coming. I was like, this dude is about to say it's a lot of money. He just doesn't want to give at all. He's a penny pincher like crazy. It's okay to care about your credit and pay your bills and everything, but for him not to just say, okay, let's try to save up on it or whatever. Babe, this is what you want to do. I love you well, he don't love her, but right now, all of them are just blowing smoke. So blow smoke and tell her later on, we can go because that's what you want to do. And then eventually, if he begins to love her and they stay married, he should make good on that or whatever. But for him to just be like, I don't see it. I just can't afford it. Well, actually, he didn't even say he couldn't afford it. He was just like, it's too much. Period. He don't want to waste money on doing something that she wants to do. Yeah, this fool talking about going to Vegas and New York, and she's looking at him like he got two heads. And I don't blame her on this one. I know I give her a lot of shit about always talking about serious stuff and being so independent, but she said that she's used to taking a trip every year, and she take a big trip every 2 years. So I'm sorry if you can't come along and actually upgrade things and stick with my standard, then that's a problem. Because actually, if you think about it, if she's able to do it on her own, you add a whole nother income in, they should be able to go to Italy, wherever the heck they want to go. He's talking about Vegas. Jose. So Bao and Johnny gets on this hammock, and she gets in first, and he's like saying something about, is there room for him or something like that, and she's like, yeah, last time I got in the hammock it was alone, and there's plenty more. And she was just kidding, but he looked shocked, and I was like, yeah, put him out, don't let him on your hammock. But she ended up saying, no, I'm just kidding. She scoots over and let him in. So he now totally contradicts himself by saying that he's the type that wants to confront things head on. He doesn't like to leave it lingering. Let's talk about it. Let's get it out in the open, and let's, resolve it. And I'm like, so either you leave or you resolve. Which one is it? Because you can't do both. Maybe he's talking about in his other relationships, but okay. So he ends up telling her, listen, I feel like when we talk or whatever, you be in your head a whole lot, basically. He's like, you talk about the past and this and that. I just don't like the stuff that he said to her, you guys, because then he gave her the whole, yeah, and it put me in a fight or flight type of situation. And she's like, yeah, I can tell. This is him putting doubt in her head. And again, this is him making her doubt things or putting her on edge where she's gonna wonder all the time if any little thing is making him want to leave. And not about it. She gave him the perfect answer. She said, yeah, I could tell. And that kind of disappointed me because I was feeling judged. And I'm like, yeah, you better let him know. Come on, Bao. I love the answer. And then she said, listen, this is new to me. I'm trying. Dude, I'm trying. It's new to all of them. And he's just going like she should never, talk about her past or things that have gotten her to where she is now, internally and mentally. She's been through some shit. She should be able to say, listen, at band camp, I know she didn't say band camp. She said at summer camp, they teased her or she didn't go to sleep because of snoring and all that. And she should be able to tell him that. If he's trying to get to know her, why is she unable to share things about her past? Why does everything have to be about right now? All right, and the name of this episode is Stepping Out of Your Comfort Zone. And the lady says she wants them to, learn new hobbies and do other things that you don't know how to do. And Jose's wife does not know how to ride a bike. So he's like, cool, I can teach you, because he wants to be the man. He wants to show that he can be the man. And he teaches her real quick how to ride a bike. And she's struggling, but she does fine. It's cute. All right, they ride a bike. So Bao and Johnny go parasailing, and this time I'm right, it's parasailing for real. I didn't make that up. And it's really cute. She's having a lot of fun. She actually says she appreciates his openness. So listen, I want them to work. I wish he was not the way that he is. And I feel like I'm right that it's not going to work out because he's an undercover asshole. I feel like I'm right. Especially look at the previews for next time. I feel like I'm right. But I really wanted them to work out because it's such a cute love story that they kind of sort of knew each other and went out before, and she's had this crush on him, and then they get together now. What a love story. What something to tell your kids. I swear to God. But I don't think it's going to work out, unfortunately. But they had a good time parasailing. It was very cute. So when they get off the ride, he's holding her hands like he's about to ask her to marry him. But he says, listen, I would not have wanted to do this with anyone else but you. I'm glad it was you. And, when we get back home, I just feel like we should move in together. And I'm like, but that's the next step in this program, is it not? The process is. Okay, never mind. We won't harp on that. We'll just let him get his shit off and, say what he has to say. And he says, some things about the fact that he's very particular. She says she is too. He's like, is your need the same as my need? She's like, yeah, I don't think so. And thinking about what she says later, yeah, I don't think so. So he's just like, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I haven't lived with anyone in 8 years. I get to come home. I get to fart. I get to do whatever I need to do and not worry about it. And now it's just going to be a little different. And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what you signed up for, sir. So now we have the whole cast coming to, well, almost the whole cast coming to this little cocktail party like they give all the time. And Zach calls. He has on no shirt. And Boring Guy says, yeah, you could at least put a shirt on. And I'm laughing, but I'm like, yeah, because no one wants to see your nasty chest hair. So he says that the past 2 days were awful, but, today he felt a little bit better. He feels bad because he totally ruined Michaela's honeymoon and he doesn't want her to resent him for the rest of his life. And I'm like, if you guys stay together, take her on another honeymoon. Easy. And of course we have negative Nancy in the back saying she ain't missing much. Let's move on. So Johnny asked the couples what sort of conversations have they had? Have they, talked about anything serious? And the boring couple, the redhead says that they have not talked about anything serious, basically, because she's not good at asking questions. And this would pretty much sum up, or like, that would be the reason why I think they're so boring, because when they talk about stuff, they're talking about nothing. So that is why I don't talk about them, because their conversations are about nothing. They don't have any substance at all. So it's just a bunch of want. Gil and Mirla said that they've talked about things, but he says when we get ready to talk about money, I think it's going to be something else, because Princess here, and she's like, oh, buckle up. Ugh. Y'all know I can't really speak on Mirla because it wouldn't be nice. So just when I was getting ready to give Mirla some credit for her body language and the fact that she has her arm around Gil's chair, she's leaned into him, she seems like she's opening up to him a little bit more, and I like that. They start having a discussion about, he says, well, if I'm a Democrat and she turns out to be a Republican, then is that a deal breaker? He says no. She says yes. She's not a Republican, however. He was just saying that. And then she turns around like, it would be a deal breaker for me. Divorce check, please. And I don't know. I just don't find her funny. I just think everything that comes out of her mouth is negative, and she would drain me. The problem with her, that's the problem I have with her. She would drain me. People with constant negative energy drain the crap out of me. So then, of course, Gil asked if anyone consummated the marriage because he's a horny little toad. And everyone said no. Then we get into how, Jose and his wife, I think her name is Rachel. So they talk about how they do a whole lot of kissy face, and they would have guessed that they would have done it. They say no, they haven't done anything. And then we get this little montage of how much they kiss. And it's a lot. And I'm like, you guys, the couple that for sure did it, allegedly, but for sure, in my head, is Michaela and Zach. They're not there, but I feel like they consummated the marriage on the first night. But that's none of our business. Gil, nosy. All right, so Mirla and Gil go and they're on the beach or either at the pool. They have this little cabana thingy with the little umbrella, and as soon as they sit down, she says, it's too hot. Whenever I go on vacation, I am practically, I have the huge umbrella so that I'm covered. So just then, a waiter comes and he gives them ice cream or gelato, and he tells them he has vanilla and chocolate. And she goes, it has to be melted by now. And she says, is it ice cream? He says gelato. She says vegan. Y'all, I'm really trying. To get through this without being biased. He tells her to taste it, and she's like, I won't know. And I'm like, girl, then hush. So he basically tells her, yes, it is vegan. And then in the confessional, he says, you plan a thoughtful gift, but for my wife, you have to make sure that it's thoughtful in her eyes and not in my eyes. And that's a shame. I mean, people can be gracious at times. I mean, let's say somebody does something that you don't particularly love, you would still be gracious or try to act as if it's fine because you care about the other person and their feelings. The problem is, this girl doesn't care about Gil or his feelings, and I'm thinking, I don't know that she would be gracious to anyone. Yeah, that's the problem with her. Yeah, she then says, oh, yeah, I did say yesterday I wanted some gelato. He's like, yeah. And she's like, it's really chocolatey. And then she goes, maybe too chocolatey. And then the music goes, hmm. And then he says, let's take it back a few years. How did you get like you? So she says she grew up poor, and she describes a one room. She said it wasn't really a shack. It had like a tin roof, and it was like 300 square feet, and it was about five of them in this one room. And that's what she remembers growing up. So Gil says he grew up poor. He wouldn't say dirt poor because they did have what they needed, but he didn't have the latest and the greatest. And she says, yeah, we have food too. So, we had what we needed. But I wasn't able to go shopping, which is what I wanted to do. So he says, well, then you grew up a diva. You always wanted to be a diva, and it just is in you. And she's like, yeah, I grew up like that. Like, this is just inside me. I didn't make this. It made me. Like, okay. So Gil asks her about siblings. She says there's four of them altogether. He says he has siblings, although he was brought up as an only child. He didn't go further into exactly what he meant by that, but he said that makes him want a big family. He wants 7 or 8 kids. She's like, nah, it's not going to happen. He says, well, listen, I'm not saying that you have to have all these kids. I'm just saying that that's what I want. We can adopt. She's like, nah, I'm not open for adoption. She says that she wants to give her kids everything that she was unable to have. I get it. Okay. But she tells him she's not open for adoption, and he says that sounds evil. And I'm like, because she is. She's evil. She is. And so she says in the confessional that she's open for adoption only if they have exhausted all fertility, treatments or whatever, and they're unable to conceive naturally. But she's not doing 7 or 8. So she asked him if he's a trust fund baby. Like, listen, I said I want them to have what I couldn't have. So I want them to have a good life, which means 7 or 8, it's going to take a lot of money. She didn't say that, but that's what she meant. She's like, are you a trust fund baby? He says no. She's like, okay, then 7 or 8 is not going to happen. And then it's so funny because he was looking like, what? And they have this music, and the rap is like, shots fired. Shots fired. Lord. All right, so now we have the whole crew getting together on a party boat or barge, as they called it. And what do we have right away? Mirla saying, I'm not getting on that side. I'm getting on the sun side. Just always complaining. Jeez. So they've decided to do Never Have I Ever, thanks to Gil. And Boring Guy seems to have done everything. Rock climbing, streaking, all that stuff. He's just over there constantly drinking. Okay, so Boring Redhead ad says, never have I ever had a one-night stand. And who drinks? Bow, 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 bow. She had a one-night stand. Sweet little Bow. And then they're all like, oh my God, did Bow just drink? But they missed when Boring Guy drank as well. Maybe he's not that boring. So Bow says, okay, I have one. Never have I ever cheated. And Mirla says, oh, I have. And everybody looked like disgusted, especially Redhead. And she's like, she says, you already know. And he says, I know that, but they don't know. Drink up. So I thought that was cool that they had already talked about it and he wasn't being caught off guard. Who was caught off guard would be Jose. He was not about it when Rachel took a drink. She says that it was when she was really young, but he was like, listen, I cannot. I'm not about it. He plays it off pretty well, though. He just laughs and says, damn, I married a cheater. And then in the confessional, he says that, he thinks cheaters are very selfish. He said his dad cheated on his mom. And, why would anyone put someone through that? So I understand, what he's saying. I mean, who likes cheaters for real? For real, for real. She says she was young and dumb, so they give her a pass, I guess. So they go paddleboarding, and Gil is like asking Mirla, "Aren't you gonna go?" And she goes, "No, because it's kind of cold and falling off." And I'm like, she's not doing nothing. So the only girl that goes is Bao, and the guys go. So basically, the only thing that happened here is the fact that John went, or Johnny, whatever his name is, he went too far. And, it was like, oh my God, are we going to get him? He ends up turning around. He gets back to the boat. He's fine. So on the boat, the girls are having a moment, and Bao tells them that she's, very glad that she met them. And then Rachel says, yeah, I remember when we first met, I was thinking there were all some independent women, and now that's kind of changing because he wants to do everything. And I'm like, this girl and this independent thing. Yeah, I understand. I understand because I am an independent woman. And in my very last relationship, we actually had to have the conversation of him saying, yo, let me be the man. Let me do some things. Like, I was carrying stuff. I was doing everything. And I was just like, I got it. I could do it. But he's just like, yo, let me be the man. And then in some decisions, he's like, I wish you would come to me first as opposed to just making the decision. And I'm like, well, shit, I'm smart and I know exactly what needs to be done. So let me just do it. But in a relationship, you have to compromise and you have to let a man be a man. So she sounds like she's coming around to it. Mirla says she's fine with it. She's used to it, so it's fine with her. And yeah, it was a cute little touching moment. But I do like the fact that Rachel sounds like she's coming around to it. You guys, so then we have Bao and Johnny having a conversation about cleanliness, and we just learned that Bao is dirty and a little bit disgusting because she's saying how if she works out and she's dead tired, she will sometimes just come in and fall in the bed in her clothes. And I'm like, it's a whole pandemic out here, okay? She just goes into all this nasty stuff that she does, where not only does she not shower 3 times a day. She's like, yeah, I don't shower 3 times a day. He's like, yeah, that's not a requirement. Just don't be dirty. He's like, if you work out, shower. If like, what's wrong with rinsing off and getting the crap off of you? Because other than that, we're going to be constantly, changing sheets. And she's like, yeah, I just can't do it. And it's fine if I just then pass out on the couch or whatever. So we'll make that compromise. And he's like, no, you can come to bed. It's fine. Just change the sheets after. So you'll be in charge of changing sheets. And she's like, nah, I'm a little lazy. I don't even want to do that. And I'm like, ew, do you hear yourself? You guys, his face is like he's in shock by what she's saying. And of course, in the confessional, he says, listen, these are things that, I would have learned within the first couple months of dating, and I would have walked away. And that is his answer for everything. I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but I want y'all to mark my words. This man is a runner, and she should not invest her time, energy, and heart to this guy. Like, don't give your heart to this guy. He's a runner. All right, so then we have Jose and Rachel, Gil, and Mirla, and they're hollering up to Zach. He's on the balcony talking about how Jose and them sent him up, or they threw him up a couple beers the other night. He's saying he's feeling a little bit better. He's almost 100%. He's not quite there yet, but he's feeling a whole lot better. Okay, then if you want beers later, let us know. All right. Again, I just feel like she should have stayed. She could have been there. She could have been hollering at him from the beach. Like, anything would have been better than absolutely nothing. So then Johnny gets some sushi for he and Bao. So it was very sweet of him. She was surprised. Nice surprise. He sits her down and tells her that he spoke with his dad, and basically his dad just wanted to know if she was Asian, and now he's happy for him. So it was a cute little moment, but he's very happy that now his dad is happy and accepting, and he thought he was crazy for marrying a stranger. However, because she's Asian, he feels better. So cute little moment. Okay, so it's the last night, and we have Mirla. She decided to do something nice for her husband, and he loves chocolate chip cookies, so she gets him this humongous platter of chocolate chip cookies with this big ass chocolate chip cookie in the middle. Okay, so he comes in and he is ecstatic about the chocolate chip cookies. Let me say something nice about Mirla. Okay, she looks really pretty with a smile on her face. She has no makeup on or anything. She's just regular. But when she's smiling, she's a pretty girl, well, woman. And she seems like she's opening up to him. She said that she got him the cookies because he's very patient with her. So she knows that she's a lot to handle, and his patience is paying off. So I do kind of feel like people with the biggest walls up have like really, really, really been hurt. So if she lets her walls down, she is probably going to be super loving to him if she, ends up liking him and letting her walls down. So I kind of feel like we're making a little headway. I don't know. I don't want to speak too soon, but this was a nice moment and it was nice to see her being nice for once. So they end up having this conversation about his dog, and she says that she can't wait to get back home to see how they're going to be together when they live together. And he's like, yeah, I can't wait to see how you are with my dog. I guess his name is Hype. And, he's like, I work 24 hours a day for 2 days a week. So I usually have a dog walker that comes, but I'm not sure if she'll come to where we are. And Mirla says we'll get another dog walker. And he's like, yeah, but that doesn't make sense if we have an able-bodied person at home that could just walk him. And she's like, yeah, I'm not walking your dog because I don't want to walk dogs. So she's not going to walk his dog. And he tells her, listen, that could make me not want to get to know you anymore. Like, I just find it hilarious that he doesn't care if she's a Republican. He doesn't care if she treats him like complete and total shit. Just don't dislike his dog, or at least say you'll walk the dog, because that's a deal breaker. That's a deal breaker. They do say that pets are like family, so I guess, but yeah. So then as we get ready to go the very next morning that it's time to go, they are having a conversation about, what he's going to do for the rest of the week. And she's like, yeah, you only work 2 days a week, so what else are you going to do? He's like, don't make it sound like that. I can't remember what he does, you guys. Can someone let me know what he does in the comment? I can't remember. But he's like, I'm going to run errands. And she's like, I have 0 errands. And he's like, well, yeah, the stuff that you pay people to do, I actually do. So I run my own errands, and, we'll see what happens when they get home. Then again, here we are with Jose and Rachel. And again, they are having a deep conversation in bed. And we're talking about his credit, and yeah, his credit is phenomenal, I guess. I can't remember what he said. He's in the 8s or whatever, and he doesn't want, he was just very proud of that. I'm not mad at that. Be proud of that. But he is a little ridiculous, guys. So, but next week looks like it's going to be something else, and I am already here for it. Again, it puts me back in the space of Yes Julesy and her whole thing of saying, why is it the black couples that are always having the biggest issues on this show? I don't know what's wrong with Michaela. I don't know if she's just batshit crazy or what, because they definitely made her look that way on the preview. So we'll find out. If you are still here, you are the real MVP, and I appreciate you more than you know. Please like the video, comment, subscribe if you have not. Subscribe being the biggest one. If you have not subscribed, please do. And I will see you guys back here next week for this, and we are going to get with the shits because it looks like Michaela is on one. Let's find out what's wrong with her. What's wrong with sis? Come on. All right. See you guys later. Smooches.